Today we're going to be looking at creating, updating and saving estimate templates. We're going to be focusing on estimates today. However, you can use templates throughout the system. We have the ability to have templates for documents, tasks, jobs, site surveys and schedules. So I'm just going to open up this estimate template that I have. Here you can see we have a CSV file which has been set up based on our estimate template, and we can use this to import into Jack in one go. So we don't need to manually add these items line by line. We've got cost groups, cost categories, the item description, the specification, which will change how these items display on your proposal. We've got the type, which is materials, labor, contractor, etc., quantity, unit of measurement, and the price per unit. To import an estimate template, first I need to create a blank estimate in Jack. So I'm just going to create an estimate here called single story template, new build. The project type is single story. I'm just going to create a new lead called template because each estimate needs to be assigned to a lead. We're going to leave this as create from blank, and we're going to create this blank estimate. You can see here there's no cost groups, no categories sitting in this estimate. It's a completely blank slate. Now to import all of my detail against this estimate, I go to Settings, Import Tool, select CSV template. I'm importing costings to an estimate. The lead is called template and the estimate is the single story template new build. Now I just choose my file from my desktop, check data. Here we have a good example of some errors that can occur while you're importing your template. I need to go in and edit the data that's in these cells that have been indicated to allow me to import this correctly. There would be some material/labors, I reckon. There they are. All right, if I put underscore material labor, now I've updated my types. I'm going to save that and we will re-upload the file. There we go. There's no errors in my import file. 239 costing items will be created and added to the estimate. So we'll just hit import data and now we can view the estimate costings. So you can now see that my estimate has cost groups broken down into pre-build, site prep, construction, fixtures and fittings and other costs. Underneath that, we have the cost categories that we indicated, and then we have the cost items below that. Right now, this is an estimate that's in the system, but we want to create a template from this estimate. So if we click on the estimate tab up the top, it'll take us to any versions that we have in the system. We click the three dots over to the right and we go create template. So this has now created a template. Another tip is to always set your status to published when you're ready to use that template. If the template is in progress and you haven't finalized it yet, leave it as draft so that none of your team members can accidentally use an incomplete template. We now have a published new build template. I'm now going to demonstrate how we can use our estimate template to save ourselves time. So we've just finished a meeting and we are at the pricing planning drawing stage of this lead, and we can go into the lead, go to the estimates and create an estimate from this screen. At this point, you create from template and select our template. It has brought in all of our cost groups, cost categories, and cost items, as well as their price. Now it would be up to the estimator to go through this template and check that all of these costs are relevant, remove items that are not included in this particular project, and add new items if they needed to. But at least we're starting with a base template here so that we're not continuously adding new items, new cost categories. So for this example, we're going to add a couple of items into the estimate that the client has requested. So we're going to add a timber deck to our estimate. So we come down to new item, type in here, timber deck. We're going to change our unit of measurement to meters squared. The price per meter square is $600 for a treated pine timber deck, and it's 30 square meters. And we'll tick included on the specification. We can't forget to add our markup at a global level. So let's add 25% markup onto this estimate. And now we're ready to create a proposal and send this to the client. So we want to include our specifications, and then we want to include the allowances that are built into the estimate. We need to show a total owner price, and then if we want to, we can break that down by cost categories. We've customized our proposal and we will send it to the client for signing. In this instance, the customer has come back to us and said, hey, what about if we add a swimming pool to the proposal? With Jack, we can easily duplicate our estimate without editing the original version. This allows us to revert back to the original estimate if they end up changing their mind. So to duplicate an estimate, we navigate from the costings page. If you click on the estimate header, you then get all versions of estimates that sit under this lead. We can click the 2 dots over here and we can either duplicate, create proposal, or create template. In this case, we want to duplicate the estimate. We'll change the details of the estimate name to version 2 with pull, save changes. Now when we come to the costings, we have our complete estimate template sitting in here, but we can now add a new cost category, swimming pool, and a new cost item, concrete swimming pool, materials and labor, and we're going to price this at $75,000. So we're now ready to send a new proposal to the client with an updated total owner price. If we were to continue doing work with a timber deck and a pool option included, we can create and save a template with these items included. To do that, we come again to the estimates tab, which shows all the versions of our estimate under this lead. Hit the 3 dots over to the right hand side and create template. So we can now rename this new build single story with deck and pool and save. The default status is draft, so we want to change this to publish so that other team members can use this template in the system. If we now go to our estimate templates, you'll see single story new build template and new build single story with deck and pool. So now I'm going to walk through how to create an assembly, which will allow you to take off quantities a lot quicker rather than calculating individual quantities of components. To save us time when creating our assembly, it's recommended that you add catalog items so that you can select your sub-components directly from the catalog. We're going to add a catalog for Bunnings door hardware. This is an item catalog and we allocate it to the contact Bunnings. See, it's still in draft mode. We need to set this catalog to published. Click catalog settings, change the status to active. Now I'm going to import my cost items to this catalog. Here we have a CSV file that I've pre-prepared. We're getting a data import error here, which is telling us that our custom unit of measurement is invalid. So if I get up my CSV file, you'll see I've got some unit of measurements here. So I believe we need to add set. We need to go to our data setup and units of measurement, and we need to add set, pair, and now let's give that another go. There we have successfully passed the data check and it's going to import our items. So we'll import the data and we can now view the catalog items. Here we have our components of our door assembly that we want to add. One more thing we want to do is add our labor rates as a catalog item. I'm going to edit our labor rates catalog here and we're going to add a new item. The name will be labor hang fit and hardware install for doors. Cost type is labor. The unit of measurement is hours and the price per hour is $95. We're going to add a final product that's going to be added to our assembly, which is labor frame and architrave fit. Cost type is labor, unit of measurement is hour, $95, and we'll categorize that into labor and door install. Now we're ready to add an assembly to our estimate. Within the cost group fixtures and fittings, door hardware, second fix timber, we can add a new assembly and we're going to call this internal hollow door supply and install assembly. It's a combination of materials and labor. We're going to change the unit of measurement to each and then we're going to add our catalog items beneath this. We want to search by Bunnings door hardware and then we're going to select all and add the products. So here by default, it's brought in a quantity of 1 for our assembly items. We need to adjust these quantities so that it calculates the right amount for each door that we are installing. Plus, we also want to add our labor to install this door. So we're going to go add catalog item, and then we're going to search labor, add our frame and fit architrave and hang and fit door install. Now we also want to reduce the quantity of this labor. Let's reduce that to half an hour for each. So that leaves us with a total builder's cost of $592 per door. Now we would do the takeoff at the head level of the assembly item. Okay, so here we've been brought to our plans to do a takeoff. Because we've set the quantity to each for the assembly item, we'll be asked to use the count tool. So we can then count off our internal doors. We have our internal door supply and install assembly with a total of 8 doors and a total price of $4,700. Now that we've added this assembly item into this estimate template, we may want to use this again and have it repeatable. So we can now create a template from this updated estimate. come in here to our estimate version and we create a new template with our door assembly included. That'll be then ready to use when you're estimating future projects.